What is up? Welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. Round 23 is in the books, and we're here to chat round 24 and the rest of the run home. Joining me is my trusty co-host,
very trusty,
the boogeyman, Timmy.
I'm very much the boogeyman at the moment. Very crook. I've been crook since Thursday last week. It's been tough. Yeah, it just got me thinking when you called me the boogeyman a couple of weeks ago. Like that just came out of nowhere. Like I was a bit paranoid. Did I have a boogie hanging out that episode or something? Or?
No, it honestly just
rolled off the tongue.
Yeah, it just came out of me.
Cool.
And there's no reason. It just felt like it came off the tongue and it pumped you up a lot.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
You were like, ooh, the boogeyman. Ooh.
That's right.
It wasn't even for the SuperCoach episode for those who only watch SuperCoach. We do an NRL show. And I called you the boogeyman. So, introducing you without your team name, is that a bad omen for the week for myself?
I don't know. If you want to look into it that way, maybe it could be reversed on me. I don't know. Ooh.
All right, we have a lot to touch on before we touch on SuperCoach. Actually, no, we have a lot to touch on. So last week, I read the comments out to you on Saturday, and oh my God, I got absolutely roasted.
Yeah.
I got roasted. We pretty much finished the podcast not thinking anything different.
No.
But Timmy, I've got to apologise. I listened back to it and I was a bit snappy, and I'll tell you why. You're hitting me some hard truths.
Yeah. Look. You might maybe a little bit vulnerable at the time and a little emotional and reacting accordingly. But to be fair, look, that actually took me a long time to set up that many YouTube accounts. To sit there and then to individually write something a little bit different, like a reword, just to reword that same sentence, like, oh, you're going harsh on Timmy a bit early in the episode. Yeah, it took a while. But no, thank you to the to the team Timmy out there that got behind the poor boy. But yeah, no, look, I'm used to it. I'm building thicker skin as the season goes on. But I get to him occasionally, so look, I can take it.
Yeah, I feel like I got like that a lot in the preseason when I wanted things to go a certain way. But I think as the season's gone on and we've kind of got our groove with this year and how it's gone, I think setting you up to go on a tangent is the way we do our show. I have my chance for my tangents. I can go on as many tangents as I like, but
the ball's in your court, brother.
I've got to let you have the court when it's there. And just want to say sorry to the people that are watching, because that would have been a frustrating watch just watching that. But just based on that,
so how'd you go? Let's get to you first of all. Let's start with your week.
I do want to start with you first, though, because we had two major discussions in last week's episode. One was my Jerome Hughes to Daly Cherry Evans trade. I think that on the face value, we see how that went, but I think we had a more in-depth discussion on your trade. So it was either Campbell, Brown, Galvin.
Out. Yep, either one of those.
Out for Ponga.
Or potentially only Campbell to Turbo. And I was close to doing that, but
that was later in the week where you decided that was an option, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a long journey that week. Last week felt like a month. So I ended up getting, at one point I was locked into, selling Campbell. Turbo's my man. He's the guy. The Manly side's got better attack. Didn't trust the Newcastle side so much. Believing Ponga, but not the side in Newcastle. Just what they put out on average this year, not been great. But yeah, I ended up once I made that trade and looked at my side, I was like, my depth is going to be tested. I've got guys like KPP and Burbo, and I just look at going forward, I think I'm in trouble. So if I then decide if I went to Ponga instead and made that sacrifice, it allowed me to upgrade one of those plotters, which I really think I needed the depth. Last week I was tested, and I paid the price because of not having great depth, having to play guys like Jaden Brayley and just Casey McLean while the Roosters were on the bye and Eli Katoa was there. So yeah, look, I'm okay with bringing Ponga in, although I do feel that it's a win for Turbo owners, considering Turbo had a harder matchup and basically matched Ponga in what Ponga had the dream matchup of the year. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I think Turbo's got the better draw this week by far against the Wars rather than Ponga playing the Sharks. But the last couple of rounds, maybe Ponga's got a better draw compared to that. So we'll see how that all balances out. But for me, yeah, selling Galvin really hurt. It was a tough one, and that really came down to at the end. Really believe in Galvin. Like just watching the last couple of weeks prior to the sell, just the way he was hitting the line, those good balls, just hitting a player that was hitting holes and scoring, just kicking close to the line, getting all the six again, stuff like that. So forced dropouts. Jaden Campbell, I didn't have a great deal of faith in, but just with that 170 just sitting there, the fact that I do think that the Titans had a lot of points in them, that was a big one as well. But yeah, looking at that, I'm not overly confident in playing Jaden Campbell even this week now, just after last week. And it's against an okay matchup in the Dragons. But
Dragons win week.
Yeah, it's really tough, mate. So, yeah, look.
So what trades exactly did you end up doing?
I ended up doing Hasta to Tarpany. Yep.
Nice.
And then I did Galvin to Ponga.
Galvin to Ponga.
So the other thing I did want to bring up in that with the Galvin thing, the big thing was round 26 bye. I thought by then that's 2 more rounds I've got to get through where carnage could unfold. If something happens to my other 5'8", I don't have a 5'8 that round, I'd be forced to potentially trade or take an AE. And then just depth-wise, like I thought, I'd rather have 2 players there to pick from. And yeah, I'm playing very conservative, trying to sort of survive rather than, maximise my potential. But that's the goal this year, just to survive.
Yeah, that's fair. I think like Ponga versus Turbo, just thinking about it on the weekend and seeing Ponga kick his goals, and Ponga looks in great touch at the moment. He looks like he is kind of what he is last year. My concern was always the Newcastle side and what platform they could lie for him. He had the dream matchup and pretty much scored exactly the same as Tommy, but I feel just based on watching him on the weekend, he probably can nearly match Turbo for the rest of the season. So I don't think...
Not as confident myself, actually. Yeah, I just feel like that Manly side, there was points in that one, but let's be fair, I think it was 36-18. It wasn't like they absolutely walloped them, you know what I mean? So when they're playing a better side, that's going to come a bit closer, and it's going to be tight. It's going to be harder for, him to maximise on his potential. Especially this weekend, the Sharks, if they play anything like they did last week.
Yeah. I think this week's going to be rough. Newcastle playing the Sharks at PointsBet, where Manly played the Wars at 4 Pines. It's going to be a tough comparison this week, but I think the last 2 weeks, when Turbo plays the Bulldogs and the Sharks, I'm not sure who Ponga has in them last 2 games, but Ponga definitely has a better matchup.
I think he's got Titans as one of them, and the last one, not 100%.
Ponga's matchup is a lot friendlier in the last 2 than Turbo's is. And there's no risk of Ponga actually resting. Like, there could get to a point where the last week Turbo, Manly can't move on the ladder.
If they go lose-lose.
If they do go lose-lose, but the next 2 games they're doing pretty well. So myself, I did pull the trigger on Haas to Tapine. Tarpane just turned into an absolute weapon when he becomes Supercoach relevant. They're gunning for a top 8 spot, and I think he'll keep it up.
With a send-off too, like in a massive score.
And then I also did
2 tries themselves.
Jerome Hughes to Daly Cherry Evans, which I was very happy with on Thursday night. Saturday, half-time. I wasn't that happy. Then I was very happy at full-time. And then Jerome Hughes updated and Daly Cherry Evans downdated.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So Cherry Evans downdated to 77. Jerome Hughes updated to 66. I think I would have done the trade this week anyway.
And now that you've got through unscathed, you would have done it still.
I'm very happy I'd done it.
You're 10 points ahead, so maybe it's a little win for you if you're going to do it anyway.
I would have liked to be a bit more, but I did actually forecast for Cherry Evans to have a less score this weekend than Jerome Hughes. I thought Jerome Hughes was going to get about 80, and I thought Daly Cherry Evans was going to get 70. But I still did the trade because I was I still did the trade because I was a bit worried I couldn't afford it because because Jerome Hughes' break-even was 80.
Yeah.
Daly Cherry Evans' break-even was 80. If one of them went low, one of them went high, I would have been screwed. And I only had 3K in the bank, so that would have screwed me. I would have been, on the weekend watching Daly Cherry Evans go for a try on the left side where he's not usually meant to be popping up. It would have hurt me, but I went up to 26th overall. Very happy.
Yeah,
If I just keep making them little moves every week, it feels like I've got the side strong enough to do it. I feel like week in, week out, I don't have to make a big play. Maybe I can make a big play, the second last week, the last week, but what plays can I make now? I've got no trades.
That's right.
All right, let's touch on it.
Yep.
The weekend.
Sure.
How good was the weekend?
It was a good weekend. I mean, I was held back to the fact that I was quite sick, and I was held to a tough decision. Do I come down? Didn't want to, obviously pass on any of this infection to anyone else. It's the flu, the man flu. It's going around quite a bit at the moment, I hear, which has me scared. Glad Nathan Cleary didn't turn up, because if I had infected him, Nathan Cleary sick with the flu, and this ruined the campaign. But I thought I didn't want to let yourself, the podcast, and everyone that was turning up down as well. So
it was a great day. You did some eyes up footy, which you're going to read out in a second.
Oh yeah, a couple of people that came up, really got to say hello, and
which
have a little chat.
I enjoy. It was 2:00 start time. It was 2:00. It was just our family and friends there at 2:00, and then we'll start to get worried. So me and Timmy actually did something like this last year, not to this extent. It was just a little get together at Panthers, and not that many people showed up. So we were kind of wigging out a bit, just thinking, shit, have we bombed again?
Shout out to Glenn that was at both.
Yeah, shout out to Glenn and my brother actually, who was at both, but. We had all our guests show up nice and early, and there was plenty of SuperCoaches there. We kicked it off at probably like 2:35, 2:40, and once we started, the full attention of the room was to the front, and I couldn't thank anyone enough for coming. It was a great day out. It's not like there was 1,000 people there or anything, but the people that were there were genuinely SuperCoach fans, and we got to have a yarn with pretty much everybody, which was great. And yeah, we kicked it off, and then the Manly Canberra game was it was perfect. And then yeah, we just had a great day out. We did record the whole thing. It is up on our YouTube. You can watch it. The audio is a bit, it's a bit tough to listen to at some points because it is a bit quiet, but at least you can get a general gist of what the day was. And there's a lot of good banter going around between everyone. We gave out some prizes. We gave away a couple of cases of Drink West. We gave away a footy to Matthew Gibson, who came down to the event with his missus. Shout out to his missus for coming down with him.
Sorry for calling her the ball and chain as soon as I met her. But yeah.
All right. Do you want to shout out the people that we saw?
Shout out to Owen. He was at the SuperCoach launch event as well that the Daily Telegraph put on. Massive SuperCoach fan. Helen as well was there. Both events. Helen. Massive Doggies fan.
Thanks, Helen.
Max from Jamison Town. Then we got Matty Gibson, obviously, his shout out before. Ben from Penrith Council. This was an awkward one. He came up and said g'day to me, but he was so personable, and I thought I knew him, and because I was in Penrith, which is the area I live, I thought, is this someone I should know? You know what I mean? And then we got on quite well, and we had a good chat. Aaron, Max, and Ben, they were the blokes we went up to and said quick hello and goodbye. A bit shyer. But weren't really in our face as much. Well, not that anyone was in our face, but you know what I mean. They were just sort of, "Hey, how's it going?" and then sort of kept to themselves. But yeah, g'day to those guys and anyone else that didn't really come up and say hello. Thanks for coming.
Well, yeah, it was tricky at an event like that because we did leave the doors open.
Not too sure who was here for it and who wasn't. As well,
because like we started the event and there was people there that we didn't realise were like there for SuperCoach, and we didn't know whether they were there for us. We're not just going to go up to a random person and say, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming to our event." And they're like, "Oh, we just came for a beer." Yeah. So, yeah, it was a really good day out. Yeah. I think it was a success, and I think Drink West are keen to do it again. And it was a great venue to watch footy.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll definitely be watching footy there again. I do have a quick story. The Cast Patrol lads were there. They got there early and stayed late. They were there for the whole day for a drinking session. It was great. They were just throughout the banter. And then they were playing pool second half of the Cowboys-Broncos game. And my brother was playing pool on the other table with my mum and my brother. And I was kind of playing as well. And then we finished our game. And my brother's like, "Oh, there's some tokens on the other table that we left there." And those tokens on the table that the Cast Patrol were playing on. And they had their tokens sitting on the table exactly where he had his token sitting before. Jack went over to them and said, "Oh, they're our tokens." And then the cast patrol were like, "No, they're not." And my brother arced up at him. Like, got really angry. And I was like, "Fucking shut up, Jack." And he was like having a go at him. And then he got so angry. He recently got his tooth taken out and he's got a false tooth in there.
Oh, no.
And he like went to say something and his front tooth fell out on the ground.
That was the end of it. Yeah.
That was the end of it. And then my mum come over after he put his tooth back in and said, "Oh, hey, I've got the pool tokens that you left there here."
Oh, no.
And he was like, "Oh, my God, I'm so sorry." He went over to the cast patrol lads and said sorry. And I'm like, "You're an idiot."
Very cast of your brother. All right.
I said, "You're an idiot because they're good lads. Why are you arcing up over a bunch of tokens?"
Get it on the big games.
Yeah, you get
all
that
right,
in
so
the big
should we
game.
touch on our... Like, I had a pretty devastating score last week. I thought I should just touch on it. It was 12-06, and it was looking real grim, you know, coming into the last game. I think it was on like 700 and something with a few to play in the captain. I just had so many underperformers. I think there was a lot of that this week, and a lot of people caught that. But if you caught a couple of the big ones, like... I was sitting here last week saying there was a lot of low scores, but I had, you know, Harry Grant the week prior, Sammy Walker, and one other player I think that pulled me out of it with tons. And this week it was the reverse. I had, you know, copped those sort of 50s that most people were getting, but instead of getting the tons there, I had Jaden Campbell for a 38, McLean for a 21, and Jaden Brayley for a 28. And Harry Grant was quite an underperformer, as well as, you know, Greg Marju as well. So it was pretty devastating, but I'm hoping that's my last tragedy week with, you know, that was the most depleted I'm hoping to be with the
Roosters being out.
Because they're my quite strong players. There was only 3 of them I had on the... I only have 3 Roosters, but there's 3 quite strong scoring players for me as well. Yeah, and my depth was tested, so adding one extra player to the roster this week should help as well as welcoming them back. But do or die in some head-to-head finals this week, so let's see what happens. How about yourself? You scored a big 1350 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I scored quite a bit. You know, I had the likes of Nikora, Iro, Olakwatu for Feeder, like 65s, Tarpanay, Fanua Blake, 87, 68, Blake Brayley as a pod, 63, and it's actually, I think the Supercoach gods were looking after me with Brimson coming into the Titans side for Brian Kelly, because I was playing Brian Kelly just thinking that maybe the Titans will put up a fight and, you know, score some points and it'll be a high-scoring game. But with him getting forced out early, I think he would have been on for a really low score in that matchup.
Back to Bray, like, that's not a massive score, is it, for 2 tries? He looked like he had a blinder.
Yeah,
when I looked back at the score, I thought, is he going to be on a ton?
Yeah.
You know, because you just add up, like, the tackles, but I guess they weren't making many tackles. So.
Yeah, he wasn't making many tackles, and he was defending in the halves, so he's defending a bit wider out. He wasn't defending right in the middle. So, I like looking at that score with 2 tries face front. It 100% concerning, but he was not playing where he usually plays. So I knew we would take a hit in that base, and that's why I was worried with the matchup. But 2 early try assists
made up for it.
I was very happy with it. You know, 63. The high scoring hooker this week was Jacob Little with 65 points.
Wow.
So it was a pretty low scoring week for hookers. So I think I got away with one, but considering he had a blinder and scored 63, I just hope that he can, you know, regain his confidence.
That might help his form going forward to back himself, you know.
But if the Sharks just keep playing like that, then, like, there's no worries there. Hold on.
They just kept that game really simple, didn't they? With, like, no, you know, genuine half there, with having just Atkinson and, you know, sort of between him and McInnes. It was just, let's just play direct. Let's play very, very fast. And the Titans were just so on the opposite end. They were playing slow and they were making mistakes, and it worked for him.
He's also named in the halves again this week, but Trindle's on the pine. Mulatalo's also on the pine for owners. My lowest score was Greg Marju, 38. You know, had Garrick, Holmes.
Well, that was a bit frustrating. I wonder if that was just a one game that the Knights were targeting that edge. But I just looked at that game and I'm thinking, they've got a great combination, those two. Just the speed. I think Caleb really trusts when he can, you know, kick it and know that he will get there, or when, just giving him that ball that he's got the speed to get on the outside or whatever. So maybe Ponga's now favouring that in general, which could be sucky for Marju, but I'm hoping that was just a one-game thing where they've identified that's the side they needed to target.
Yeah, potentially. I'm looking at it, and the way they played on the weekend, it looked like Ponga had full control of that right side, and it didn't look like he popped up on that left side at all. But maybe it was a game plan for the team they were facing, but like it just seemed like the halves were controlling the left and he was controlling the right. Whatever happened on the right was his. But maybe it's just a matchup and like that's what you do. So, yeah, avoided a lot of those lower scores. Obviously, Captain Turbo, Jesus Christ. I think a couple of weeks ago, I sent a video in the Canoe Crew chat, and it was like me with a basketball. And I said, if I shoot 2 basketball hoops in a row, Turbo goes back to 2021 form.
And we all know you had about 50 takes at it too.
I sent it. And he
damn, I mean, this is the real one. This is the actual real one. No, the others didn't count. Yes, got one. Send it to the boys.
But since that video, I'm not saying it coincides with my shot, but like 119, 174, 45, and 121.
Yeah.
It's pretty... That's close to 2021 Turbo.
Really.
Like, obviously,
Not
the
really.
200...
He was getting 200s, 170s, 150s. They were the standard.
Well, maybe the 200s to come. He's got 2
Let's
juicy
hope not.
matchups coming right up.
Don't tempt me, mate. I've got a little voodoo situation I'm working on at home.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna voodoo him.
All right. We're going to go through the team list updates. Dylan Edwards is on the extended bench for the Panthers. So
Awkward for Laurie owners.
Very awkward. So they've got a really good draw to run home.
Great that it's the first game of the round.
Great that it's first game of the round. And potentially, would you be sitting him against Melbourne anyway if you've got depth?
Maybe, yeah. Like you maybe might expect closer to like a... Yeah, I don't know what to predict for him because he's an upside player, isn't he? So, yeah, and haven't seen enough of him back there. So I wouldn't... Yeah, maybe because I'm considering sitting guys like even... I'm not sure yet. I'll have to look at it closer, but like Eli Katoa maybe. But then again, he looks like he's good for 60 when you look at his score.
We will touch on that because there's a big segment about that because I feel like this is the first week we've really had to...
Genuine sit or starts for us or from my side that's got lack of depth. And only a little bit better now, yeah.
Dom Young is named, which is good for owners against the Parramatta Eels. Jesus Christ, that's going to be scary if you don't own him. Terrell May named on the bench with 4 forwards on the bench. Nafahu White, Satili Tupanua. There was someone else there, but I forgot. Madison named, unlikely to play. Eli Katoa named, still battling an injury. I heard reports he was potentially out this week. Lucky he is first game. We've got Keeney remains at fullback. Brimo is at 14. Firma on the extended. Dylan Lucas named. Stone Street named, but Mulatalo on the extended. Trindle on the extended. And also Chad Townsend dropped for the Cowboys. Crazy for Clifford. So interesting to see how that dynamic lines up. But yeah, I think team lists at this point of year not as exciting. I think we'll get the last couple of weeks are going to be interesting.
There'll be that news every 20 minutes in the chats.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like the last few weeks have been pretty boring for team lists. I feel like today was a little bit eventful, but I reckon in 2 weeks the team lists are going to be massive talking point. But I want to move on to I've got a who am I for you. Mm-hmm. So average 61.5. I'm a centre wing. My last 7 scores are 65, 60, 96, 24, 124, 85, 69. Who am I?
I'm the first guess, and I probably could be way off, but is it Joey Manu?
No.
What is he averaging?
I think he's averaging more than that, to be honest. 61.5. Actually, Manu's not averaging as well as he has in the past. Manu.
72.
72.
Yeah.
Who am I? They're pretty good last 7 scores, aren't they?
It's just because you had that low one of 24-ish or something, so I thought that might have been the one that dropped him. Yeah, okay, keep going. You got any more information?
Yeah, I've got some more. I've been around the blocks for a while.
Around the blocks, is that a...
No, don't emphasise on the words. I'm most known for my 2015 grand final play.
Is it Caulfield?
Yep. It's pretty good scores. Hey, like he's gone under the radar.
Hitting him a lot, and
yeah.
I looked at him at one point, but just kind of like
he's been super solid this year. If they had a really good draw to end the season, he'd be someone you'd consider taking a flyer on. I've also got one more quick one.
Yep.
I averaged 68.1. I have 3 tons this year. I have high scores in my career of 172, 156, 155, 148, 146. There are much more 140s, but I just decided to stop there.
What did you say he's averaging again?
68.1.
Is that Ponga?
No.
What's he averaging? 74. Yeah.
If you traded me in last week, you'll probably win SuperCoach.
Oh, DC.
Yeah. All right. Let's go in the top traded in and top traded out players this week. I think it's a lot of what you're expecting. Angus Crichton is the number 1 traded in this week. Timmy, it's changed to Zach Lomax. Interesting. So I want to touch on Angus Crichton first, Timmy, because I feel like a lot of the year we've been earmarking the run home. You got to get Angus Crichton back in. Obviously I cannot, but what are your plans for Angus Crichton?
Yeah, well, that was part of I had to make that decision last week on if I was going to sell Jaden Campbell, that would have freed up more money and I could have basically decided to get whoever I wanted. But selling Galvin limited me to making a decision last week. And I'm glad I've done it because I haven't put myself through the stress of having to make another big decision again and toss and turn. I'm getting Joey Manu, and that's because I can afford him, and I'm pretty happy with. I've looked into him versus Angus, and I think I like the upside potential still of a Manu. I think they could match each other. I think that Angus is quite safe play though, and I think it just really comes down to the affording. There's no way I'd be selling with limited trades, like 2-3 trades left. I wouldn't be going any of your key guys like your Nikaras, Katoas, any of those guys. I mean, maybe you could justify a Katoa if you thought he was going to rest again in round 23 and then what did rest this week, or if he didn't rest, still played Penrith, but I still wouldn't be doing that, I don't think. I still think there's more in that. I know you sort of put a line through Jerome Hughes for similar reasons because of the Penrith and the potential resting, but for me, I just, if you've got a way to, you've got enough trades and you're like upgrading, you've got like for me, it'd be like a Kai Pierce-Paul if I had more money. But there'd be people with Lane or other lingering workers. There'd be a plethora of, whoever that guy is in your side that's not in that sort of elite sort of Fafita, Katoa, or Kawatu. These names I wouldn't be selling.
It's funny, you say like sell, Kai Pierce-Paul, Sean Lane. I'm struggling picking a bench as it is at the moment. Selling one of these guys for an Angus Crichton, who is definitely a play week in, week out, means you're going to have to sit one of these, Nikaras, Iros, who are absolutely killing it at the moment. It's so much tougher to navigate when you've got all these guns in your side. And
it's nice to have, if you've got the trades and you've got that, at least you've got that depth week to week to look at it and really analyse and go, if you're playing head to head, who have they got? Good, I can match them with that. Or if I need to, I can play that other guy instead. Or it's nice to have the options, but it depends on your situation. So
for sure. Obviously, you're passing on Angus Crichton, so am I. He's the one guy I'm shit scared of.
For now, I've got 2 trades left after this. Right, so maybe if shit hits the wall with one of my other guys, if one of them has an injury, I might end up picking him up. So it's not a complete no, but he's not in my plans.
I'm shit scared of him. He's the one guy I'm petrified of.
Okay. Is it any week to week or?
Every week. Yeah. Every week. Like this week against Parramatta, I'm so scared of. But we'll have to try.
I've looked at something this week because I was... I won't tell you why. But for Angus, like I just looked at the left. I got confused and started putting all the right side, who are like the right side second rowers going up against Para. I started with the left, and then for the next go, I started going with the right. And what I noticed in making that mistake is a lot of the other sides that have played Para are having a lot more joy with their right second row forward over the last week. So this is the mistake I made when I was going through it. Niokore scored 86 last week for the Wars. Then we've got Eli Katoa scored 90. Fermor scored 60. Okay, so they're all the right ones that I made a mistake on. But if you actually go to who was on the left playing up against Para, I'm not too concerned for this week. If you combine Sorensen and Gaia, who played on the left in that time together, because he replaced him for that 80 minutes. That they combined for 65. I think Gaia had about 50-something and Sorensen had 9. Capewell scored only 45. Bloor scored 57. And David Fafita scored 75. And David Fafita's a fair sort of...
Yeah.
But you can't just go... But if you're looking at that, I'm like... At least it's not like ton, or ton, 90, 80, from some of these guys. Whereas those other scores on the right side, that got me nervous when I looked at those Nikora, Katoa and Fermor who were scoring 80s and 90s sort of. But that's just something. You don't have to look into it too much.
The first thing I think of when you say that is that, Katoa
main guy
with the main half, Niokora with the main half.
Yeah.
Bo Fermor with Kieran Foran, who's the main half.
But Fermor and Fafita's the main.
Exactly. You look at Fafita and you're like, Jaden Campbell can't square up a bloody drawing for his life.
And then when you look at the other side, Katoa and Bloor, Katoa's the main guy, but they hit Bloor a lot too.
True.
So
true, very interesting, good stats.
But I would like him. Yeah, I think
for
good
sure.
Him, but I'm not stressing out too much this week. But I think he is one that you're gonna sort of, be sort of death riding if you don't have him.
This is actually the week I'm most scared of. The Titans. The Titans next week. It's really tough because these sides that they're playing are really, what's the word?
Leaky or.
They're leaky, but they're so bad that it's just going to get to the edges first, right?
Potentially, but then it's one of those things where it depends if it's just this absolute smashing in those games, and the Roosters really put it together. It can just happen anywhere, really, can't it? You know what I mean? They set a play up to the right, which is just a set-up play, which end up creating an offload, and they score there instead of the next play that they're actually setting up for. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I think it's just a lottery in one of those big scoring ones.
Parramatta's defensive ranking against edge back rowers is 7th, so 17th is the worst. 7th, they actually don't leak that many points to
which
back
sort
rowers.
Of correlates with just that last 4 weeks. It kind of matches up a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
James Tedesco is a massive target for this matchup because the Parramatta Eels are actually 16th in defence to fullbacks. So James Tedesco this week, massive captain option. And this is just a feature I've just noticed in SuperCoach Gold, which I'm going to refer to a lot. Because
it's okay. Yeah,
it's in SuperCoach Gold. It's right there when you see everything. So we're looking at Gold Coast ranking versus Zach Lomax, the number 1 traded in player, against centre wings. They're 10th. So they're not the best, but still pretty
That's a mad thing to have in there.
Oh, it's so good. I only just realised. So Zach Lomax, number 1 traded in. They've got the Titans this week who got smashed last week. They've also got the Sharks and Parramatta. And then they finish off with the Canberra Raiders in the last week. Pretty good draw. He scored 80 points last week in a tough matchup against the Bulldogs. I can't fault this trade, to be honest. I think it's a good trade. 660K.
Yeah. It's tough because it depends on if it's your final one or if you don't have To'o, I reckon it's him, To'o. I was Karaz is another one that they're the 3 I kind of don't have, but I'm bringing Manu, but because he's the cheaper of them, and I still back him to kind of probably go as good as well, I guess, hopefully. But yeah, I like him. The goal kicking, they kind of feel like they do have enough in them to, I don't think they're going to be a write-off. They're going to be right in it to the back end. Even the very last week, they play the Raiders, and I think both of those sides are going to be probably playing for potentially a spot that week, depending on how they go in the lead-up to that. So that could be a tight game.
Yeah, for sure. You talk about trading in Manu. He's the next person we'll touch on. Parramatta actually ranked 17th in
that's good, isn't it?
Defence to centre wings, yeah. So Manu, Dom Young, massive shouts here. And it's funny because, centre wings are the juiciest matchup against Parramatta Eels.
Yeah.
Surely that means Crichton has a bit of love, like maybe with the try assists or something like that.
I just noticed the last 4 scores with Manu weren't overly going up against right centres to Parramatta. So Tago 87, Graham Tafua from Warriors 39, Meany 57, and Sammy 67. 3 of those are kind of super coach relevant. Sammy usually puts up pretty good scores for the most part as well. But yeah, another one.
It's actually really weird how
they've all been going at Blaze. Sorry to cut you off. Those 4 weeks they've all been with Blaze. I didn't look any further because then that was when Russell was then in the centres going further back. So those 4 games with Blaze.
Yeah, that's weird because you'd think obviously target their managers, and maybe that's what they're doing, and maybe that's why the left side is not getting love because. The left side, when you're running at Parramatta, their right side is Will Penasini, and he's actually very good defensively.
Yeah. I think he's been a bit leaky, though.
He has been in the past. And then there's Bryce Cartwright on that edge as well. And then they've also got... they've put Dylan Brown over that side, which has probably held up the defence quite a bit. Maybe that's why they're going the right side, because they've got half in Dijon Arcee, who struggles to make decisions. They've got Jake Tago out on that left wing as well. So maybe it's just not running at Blaze, it's running at that whole left side and the decisions they're making. So
Para have been better though, haven't they, over the last couple of weeks?
I think they've turned a corner.
Yeah.
I did say this last week. I didn't think they'd get as close as they did on the weekend, but...
I didn't think it'd be that close, to be fair, but I really thought there'd be the local derby, they'd turn up, and they've just got a way of... They know how to play us.
They beat the Warriors and they put up a fight for Melbourne. Obviously, they didn't win the last 2, but could they put up a fight this week? It's actually raining in Sydney all week. It is dry on Friday, though. Like, Friday's the one dry day.
Okay.
But it's a bit wet, dewy all week. I don't know if it's going to... It might be dewy.
It's a really weird weekend for captains because they're like night games early on, and then you've got Nath, the first game. And
I'm so sold on my captain this week.
I think I am too. But we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. All right, Kalen Ponga and James Tedesco are 3 and 4 this week. If you don't have James Tedesco, I think you've got to get him in, especially if you're overall. I think he's the guy who could hurt you.
Yeah, maybe even if you're head-to-head, because to be fair, I really think Turbo and Teddy are the 2 best picks for captains this week, and I think that they're a standout. I don't love the night games with the dewiness a little bit more, and I don't love that. I think the Turbos at WARS, but that doesn't affect me too much. But I think they're the best standout ones. I think Ponga against the Sharks is a bit shaky, and then Cleary against the Storm's a bit shaky too. So I think they're the best 2 standout options, but I don't know where else sort of going with that.
With Tommy and Teddy?
Yeah.
I
actually think I prefer...
for head-to-head finals as well. Like, Ponga's got the last 2 weeks, but you've got to get to the final first. You've got to get to the final first.
That's right. So I'd be saying I'd think I'd be bringing, if you had extra trades, it's like how people were bringing Ponga in last week because
Teddy and then getting in Teddy this week.
I think you kind of, if you've got, that's the plan, you probably want to get Teddy back if you've got the numbers for head-to-head.
I think that's a perfect play for sure. Teddy has actually scored quite well at night time against Parramatta. He averages... I just remember every time he plays Para, he absolutely murders them. So his average against Parramatta is 79. His average against the Gold Coast Titans is 89. But then, like, for head-to-head and overall, I think James Tedesco's the guy. Plays the Titans in the preliminary next week, and then Canberra in the finals. Which once again, he's got a 75 average against Canberra. Tommy this week was next week Tigers. Yes, he does have the Dogs in round 26, but I think you've got to focus on getting there first, to be honest.
Yeah.
And, like, if you're there, just let luck play out, because someone else you're versing, if they wouldn't have got there unless they've had good weeks prior, so they probably got Tommy as well.
Jeez, it's nervous 2 weeks to not have Turbo.
So my head-to-head finals, I think I was in about 7 cash comps. I got knocked out of 1. I wasn't in the 8 in another and got through, but the rest of them, I won all of them and I was in the top 4. So I've got a week off for 5 cash comps.
Nice.
And then I come back in to the preliminary final, Tommy Olakuatu, Garrick, DCE against the Tigers.
Nice setup there.
So that's worked out well for me. So I'm just hoping to get there because every year, I limp to the finals, and by the time I get to the grand final, like I'm shot. I make it through to one, maybe win it, maybe lose it. But
on Teddy, if I could just bring up some
of
fullback figures there. These were a pretty standout. So this is the Eels going up against fullbacks. I did the last 6 weeks on this one. So Dane Laurie, 134. CNK, 92. Ryan Pappenhausen, 94. Latrell Mitchell, 113. Sharp, 68. Teddy, 98. Average of 98.6 over the last 6 games there. So pretty good. And then, Teddy's right up there with the best of them. So I think he's really in for a big one. It's just the the night, but maybe you could look into them. How many of those were night games as well?
For sure.
But stuff like that.
The Roosters are going to end up playing a lot of night games because they are a bigger club who draw better TV ratings. I'm pretty sure the Gold Coast game would potentially be a day game, but the rest of them, maybe the Raiders game will be a day game. I'll check it out for you, but continue. Sorry.
I'll bring up Turbo while I'm here. This one stands out as not so great, but in the past, I remember at the start of the SuperCoach season, we're like, if WARS up against fullbacks, that's their. Remember at the start of the season? Yeah. So this is just the last 6 rounds I've gone through over WARS v fullbacks. Hammer, 46. Gutho, 120. So that's a good one. Stand out there. Buller, 57. Weeks, 42. Tracy, 62. Sailor, 45. So what I will flag there, a lot of those names aren't as SuperCoach relevant.
Second string fullbacks.
Compared to what the ones that were going up against Para. So maybe you don't look into that. You've got to consider that. So that's a 62 average.
They've also turned it. It seems like at the start of the year they leaked so much defensively that it's kind of dragged into this point of the season, the stat. So the stat could be skewed. It could be, but to be fair, they haven't played an elite fullback in a couple of weeks. Like, can you really...
Yeah, Gutho put up a 120, and Hammer, you could say, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
He's got the skills. So, yeah.
Yeah, so the Roosters in round 25 or round 26, 2 p.m. game on a Sunday and a 4 p.m. game on a Sunday against the Titans and the Raiders. So that's very juicy for head-to-head finals and overall, of course. So if you don't have him, I think that's really tough to have. So Fletcher Myers is one of the most traded in this week. Named, once again, negative 24 break even with a score of 72 last week with a double. He's kicking goals, which is pretty interesting.
Wouldn't want to play him at all. It's purely just people who have got enough trades still up their sleeve to free up what they need to do to get Angus or whoever it might, or Turbo if they're... I see people still bringing Turbo in and stuff, but that's probably the people that have sold him, bring him back or whatever, but yeah.
I get it. And I think we said at the start of a couple of weeks ago when Casey McLean was a massive option, we prefer Casey McLean over the Leigh Tower because... did I get it right?
Yeah, no, it's not that. I was just thinking he scored so well last week. Had I gone Leigh Tower, whatever his name,
but
he scored 78 or something.
I think looking at that, Leigh Tower had the round 27 bye, and I think we'll lean on these guys for the round 27. So that's why I don't mind Fletcher Myers, because if he's going to be there in round 27.
Soft game as well against...
No Roosters.
Oh, Roosters, yep. So I was thinking I'll play Para for some reason.
I'd much prefer, someone who's much more reliable. I think Jake Tungo would have been a perfect one playing the Tigers the last week.
Yeah, I had no faith in him at all, though. I didn't think he was ever going to cross, but he's been going all right. He's going to score in the first try the last month or whatever.
How funny was it how Jake and Isaac scored in the game? We got to look out for these things much more often because I feel like we miss them.
They're little things, aren't they? Those little doubles that seem to happen.
Yeah, so who is it this week? Brayley's.
Playing against each other. Can't see it happening though.
Sorry?
Can't see it happening, but chuck 5 on it.
Just put a 5 on it, and then you're sweet. Joe Tarpanay is in the traded in. We've talked about him last week. Sam Walker, number 9. Parramatta are actually ranked 4th in defence to halfbacks. So, interesting one there. Like Jerome Hughes, he's a really good player. They kept him pretty quiet last week. Cleary, they kept him relatively quiet for him, I guess. Obviously opened up last game, but
Fair points.
You did say their left edge defence has been the better side. Sam Walker on the right. I just feel like with Manu and Young, like he'll just fall into points regardless.
Yeah, if he keeps playing the way he's been playing, he's just been playing such eyes up footy that very creative. So I feel like he'll keep creating.
Oh, so Sam Walker's high score against Parramatta is 87.
He hasn't. How many games has he played them though? Probably like 5.
5. Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
5. Interesting. And the last one right here is Brian To'o.
Yeah, I like him. Hey, I think that there's been a bit of a vibe around him, and he's sort of been whispered by certain people in chats that I want to bring him To'o in a couple of weeks, and you get a bit nervous thinking about it. And yeah, it's starting to come really good, especially with him on the right. And
yep.
I just think the Panthers are just starting to. They're it's kind of weird because I feel like they were a bit more defensively minded and not the points weren't flowing as much as at the start of the season. Now it's kind of they're letting a few points in there, but they're sort of trying to get it going and attack a bit as well. So yeah, I think it's a great buy
for sure. Timmy, this week, what are the key matchups you're looking out for? I looked at this week pretty early on Sunday last week, and I think this week is the good matchups are done within the first 3 games, it seems.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, okay. You including the Penrith one, or you mean?
Well, I just think Friday night's really crucial. Once Friday night is done, I think that'll tell people where they're at.
Yeah.
What are you actually what are you looking out for this week? Before we're going to do sits v starts, I want you to get that ready. But what are you looking out for this week? And are you looking at making any kind of tricky trades? Are you making any trades?
Yeah, bringing Manu in, as I said.
Oh, yeah,
that'll be selling Burbo.
Yep.
Who's just gone,
nice.
Shit. Yeah, look, the thing is, I think I might be I might avoid Cleary and not have anything on him as my armband.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how much I've got to gain in doing that because I'm going to, not having Turbo in my side, I'm going to be captaining Teddy. I don't want to vice-captain Teddy because if I vice-captain him, and he goes well enough that I wanted to, maximise on that double score, I have to loop him, and it might not be loopable. It might be just 100 or something like that.
Yep.
And then if I don't loop and then I stick with someone else, there's no one else later in the round that I'm like, I'd be happy to have my captain on you and feel confident with. So for me, it's like Teddy's my captain, and then if I want to have a vice captain, it's basically a straight C, but I'm going to have a vice captain beforehand just because. And I think it might be Garrick, just because that's my only other guy. If I want to avoid Cleary and think that I think he can't really go too much above 100 in this game, really, unless the Storm just do not show up. So, yeah, maybe Garrick could have a big one, but it will be big enough for me to loop. I don't think there's much. I don't really have any plays or any... Yeah, I don't feel like I'm just feeling better about my depth compared to last week and relying on... hopefully that, and in my head-to-heads, I'm hoping I'm one leading the head-to-heads this week rather than chasing and trying to have to look at doing tricky little things or taking any risk, but we'll see how it plays out. How about yourself? You got any cheeky little things up your sleeve? Obviously, you don't have any trades.
No, not with trades. I think sit versus start's very interesting.
You want to go through that now? Or?
We'll touch on it very shortly, but we'll have an update on the top 10 and how they're going for trades. So last week... First overall is actually 8 points in front of Barnesy. Barnesy came on...
8 points ahead, so scary.
Yeah, it is scary. He's got 2 trades left. Last week he got Cotter in and traded out Haas. Cotter's a weird one because he does have a buy coming up, but maybe this is a cash-related thing.
Does he have depth? Does he have a third guy that he can rely on? Do you know? Have you looked at him that closely? Sorry to add to the segment and extend it.
No, I'll have a look. I can easily get... He's already got Tarpanay and Fanil Blake.
Okay, so that kind of...
That makes sense. That makes so much sense. So he had Haas, Tarpanay and Fanil Blake. It would have been annoying, but he nearly could have just held that trade. He nearly could have just held it for now. But I don't mind it. Cotter 65 points on the weekend. It's going to be...
Well, he's probably he wants to rely on him when AFB is going to be rested in the final round as well. So, and then he knows that Cotter's going to have a week off when he's got to buy. So he just sort of...
You know what else? He probably would have made... He would have made 70, 80K from that trade as well. So I actually don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't think... I reckon he probably knows what he's doing.
Exactly. Barnesy didn't use any trades. I thought he would with the slow start of Cody Walker and Harry Grant.
Nice restraint.
It's very good because I think that will help him later on the season. Tandy used...
Big week. Big week for Tandies.
He had a really good week. He's third overall. He's got 0 trades now.
He's in my $500 head-to-head cash league, so I'm a bit nervous about possibly coming up against him in the big GF, but he's out of trade, so I'm hoping he's a bit thinner than I am by then.
He played 17 players last week. Like, he was so close.
He's also going to be focused more on head-to-head, on his overall and not really worried about my 500.
For sure. He got Haas out last week for Tommy Trebojevic. Good trade.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Great trade.
The Bossy Franks sold Teddy and got him Ponga.
Yep.
Think you'll be regretting that this week. 1 trade left. There's not a world where I would go Ponga back to Teddy with 1 trade left. Maybe he wanted to...
I don't know. I reckon I could see you doing that.
A good chance. It'll be like me trying to do what you did that year.
Yeah.
I remember, but you had shitload of trades that week. So you were first overall for context, and everybody still hadn't decided. It was about this time of year where the 2 fullbacks that you had weren't locked in.
About 4 or 5 weeks left, I think.
Yeah, I think Turbo was obviously one of them because it was 2021.
Everyone had Turbo, yep.
And then your other one, you went Ponga 1 week, and you were hoping everybody would go to...
See me do that, and then they'd all jump on Teddy because that was the only way to get ahead. And then I anticipated them they would do that, so I then traded to Teddy the next week and matched them.
And he turned up.
Yeah,
I
blocked them because that was all basically their last trades as well that they had used on that.
And so. I think looking back at that, I'm like, far out. That'd be so cool to do like a play like that because that was just like, I talk about that and I'm like, that was one of the smartest things.
Yeah, it was probably my favourite move of the year.
It's just sneaky.
It was because it did have that sort of mind fuckery about it.
And it's funny, you're on the podcast and you wouldn't say anything what you're doing, and then you did that.
I was a torment, wasn't I?
You did that, and nobody could see your team who was in the hunt. So, like, they would have been watching Teddy absolutely cheering, thinking, I'm going to take over him. He's got Ponga. Ponga did shit. Teddy's got 150. And then when they saw lockout on the Monday, they would have been like, oh, shit, he got in Teddy. 5th, 4 trades. Haas and Teddy out.
Team Extreme, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. Haas and Teddy out. Barnett and Tommy in.
I've got a feeling about Team Extreme. They got enough trades.
4 trades. I don't know about the Barnett trade. I don't love it.
Who'd they sell?
Haas and Teddy. I just think getting in Barnett.
If they think that he's...
Round 27, like...
Yeah, I understand, but they maybe have that depth as well too. Do you know what I mean?
4 trades left. You can definitely deal with it.
Yeah.
Slippery.
He's killing it, bro. He's like...
Slippery?
No, Barnett.
Oh,
but good. And Slippery too. Slippery's
like,
previous winner. You're about to...
Previous
2012,
winner.
I think. Maybe.
Aitken and Ronnie out for Olaquatu and Ponga. I think they're good trades. 7, Hindsight. He's got 2 trades left. Dead Hand Gang had a 1466 week. Haas and Sharp out.
That hurts. But you never...
Paseka and Ponga in. Don't mind it. 9th, Oscar's Puppies. 5 trades, didn't use any. So, very good there. The fact that he's in 9th, he's in a position to move.
He's just going to have to hammer now, isn't he? Because he's got almost max...
Probably from next week, yeah. And 10th, Ninja Turtles Dukes. 3 trades left. May and Ronnie out. Paseka and Tommy in. So,
good luck to all mentioned.
Good luck to all mentioned. Timmy, you said on the car drive last week, I'm going to be honest, I don't think you can win, to me. And I agree with you.
Did I break your heart? It was a friend chat. It wasn't like...
No.
Yeah, it was...
But...
Yeah.
26 overall. I think I can get into top 10. I think I can do that.
I don't want to tell you can't win either. Sorry. I'm just...
No, I agree.
Trying to set you up.
I agree. I have no trades left.
But I think... Yeah.
I have no trades left.
I'm not trying to shit on your pit parade either. So let's not confuse that.
You were telling me hard truths, and I agree. I don't think I can win, but my goal is.
It was in relation to still have a good year, and not let it fall apart and all that sort of stuff. So for context for that,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I think you definitely. I think I can make the top 100%. 10.
I just need guys like, Brian Kelly, Blake Brayley, DCE. He needs to come off for me.
Keep dodging carnage, which wasn't much last week, and hopefully the way that the finals finished, not too many rests, and
Well, it's funny because like all these pods that everyone's getting in, Angus Crichton barring, Zach Lomax, I feel like my centre wing's like Iro. He's killing it. He's got good matchups.
We've flagged him as like, the matchups that's good. We've got to hold on to him, but he's scored he's gone from 55, 60 scores to 80, 90.
Yeah,
which is he's just out of control at the moment, and he looks so good on the eye test too. Like they just get him early ball. He's got the maddest individual runs.
Reminds me of like
Val. Yeah, he's such a young Val. Yeah,
666k, 35 break even. Makes 700. Like goes to 700k this week probably, and all the best players in the game. Ruben Garrick 600k. Joey Manu's 574k. He costs just a tad less than Dom Young. It's crazy, and I'm so excited to be having him. Marju, I'm probably sitting Marju this week. I guess talking about sit versus start, I'll probably sit Marju for Dom Young, but I like the likes of Val Holmes, Karaz, Garrick, Marju, Young, Iro, and Kelly in my centre wing. Granted, I'd probably sell Kelly for a Lomax if I had luxury trades, but I'm pretty happy with my high upside centre wings, and I'm happy to be playing them week in, week out. But sit versus starts, we have a question from Owen from the weekend.
Requires headphones this week? Or
sorry?
Headphones again? Or is it just a...
No, there was no voice messages this week. I didn't put the call out this morning. But his question is, sit versus starts, are you considering sitting someone like Katoa versus Penrith to play high upside pods like Kelly versus the Dragons? So, so I think that's a very valid question.
Well, I'm going to a real tough position at the moment. Like I don't have Katoa selected in my current 17. That was also partly pending seeing whether he was not going to be named or not, because that was from before. Now that we know that he is there, I still feel like I'd maybe leave him out because I've got Sam Walker as one of my reserves with Nathan Cleary's mother starter. I've got Dom Young as a reserve. It's relevant to say who I'm playing on my starting centre wings, I guess. So we've got Al Holmes here, or Garrick and Manu, who I'll be playing on the starters. I've Dom Young as a reserve. I've got Marju currently as a reserve. I just feel like it's a day game, and I know they went all that weightless one, but maybe there's a bit of upside there maybe. And Ponga as one reserve with Teddy as my starter. So that's there. And then I'm also, so I'd be sitting out Jaden Campbell at this point, which is kind of to his point. If I was looking at, would I rather play Jaden Campbell against, the Dragons in I think it's a day game. Yeah. Or like Katoa against Penrith. I think I'd just rather roll the dice with, like in his case, Kelly. A bit of upside there. I think Kelly's probably at least going to match him and get like a 60.
My concern is
and potential upside.
AJ Brimson's named at number 14, and it's Sunday 2 p.m.
Okay, yeah. So maybe he just doesn't. He doesn't play Kelly. He just drops out of the side. Potentially. But maybe they just have... Because I don't think AJ looked fantastic last week at all on return.
Maybe they're just trying to get...
And to be fair, I know it wouldn't have changed anything having Brian Kelly there, but I think they looked like a better side with Brian Kelly, to be fair. He didn't really add anything to... They were getting pumped, but...
Well, the thing is with Brian Kelly, that side's so dominant. Campiera, Fafita, Campbell. Brian Kelly's been... the guy who's run the decoy lines. I know that sounds stupid, but he's run the decoy lines, system, and that allows them to run their shape on that side for every single attacking play.
He's a great utility, though. He's not, you bring, like, if anything happens, you plug him in anywhere. Exactly. So maybe they just stick with it. So
maybe they're just like, the season might be done. Let's just get K's into the legs.
He might be able to, if he does want to play an upside guy like Kelly, then just have a potential backup reserve if that falls through in his side, where he goes, I do have that guy like playing later in the round. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yes, so that's all you sit?
Yeah, other than like obvious ones like, probably KPP now that I don't have to rely on him. And Brayley, I won't be playing this week either.
What I got to say about KPP though, like 60,
good week last
67
week.
On a week where we needed to play him.
He was sort of going hunting on the other side and doing all. I like that.
I was a bit worried he was like potential shepherd.
Yeah, he was getting a bit rogue out there, but yeah, I like it. I mean, I'll prefer to play the others now, but if you have to play him some weeks, he's a good enough backup as long as he's starting, I guess.
Yeah, I'm playing Iro. I'm playing Young. I could leave out Val Holmes to play Brian Kelly because I am leaving Marju. It is at home and they're coming off a loss, so maybe I will hold that thought. But I don't know. I feel like the Raiders is an awkward matchup for the Cowboys. I think their style of play isn't very good. So we've just got some late mail here. FYI, young owners, probably worth planning for him not to be in the team come kickoff Friday. So luckily...
That's good. He's on my reserves at the moment.
I actually probably prefer that, to be honest. So maybe do you just sit Young anyway because he's a potential injury risk?
I think if they play him, he's good to go.
Should be sweet.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't want to roll him out with 4 weeks to finals. They can. It's not like a do or die game for them, and it's an easier matchup. So
I'm playing Dylan Brown and Lockie Galvin. I'm benching Kai Pearce-Paul and Katoa. Dylan Brown versus Roosters, thoughts?
Yep, just as good as against the Panthers last week. He'll get 50, 60 at least. He just finds a way of doing it. I'm so glad I didn't sell him.
So am I.
Because, yeah, he'll just do it. And even in the tougher games, he just doesn't put out that 30, which, Jaden Campbell did for me. And I know Galvin's got one more in him, another 30 in him as well. But Dylan Brown won't do that. And then he's got the potential upside in those final 2 games, I think. Yeah, I'd be keen enough to play him, but if you've got a lot of depth, like because you're only, expecting a 60, could get a 70. I think potential biggest upside would be 80. But then again, Roosters have been kind of leaky as well, letting in up to 30 points a game, and he's been playing pretty well. So it just depends on your depth and strength.
Katoa versus Penrith. His last 3 games versus Penrith, 66, 33 and 73. His highest score...
Would they have all been at Storm, or maybe only 2 of them?
No, some of them would have been at Warriors. He averages 46 versus the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah.
It just feels like I want these guys who have potential upside.
Yeah. Well, he could put out he put out 40 or something last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
So there's not much more faith that. Why would he score better this week? I mean, he could, but for me, I just feel like it's safe enough. I don't think he'll hurt you by sitting him.
It's a fair sit.
Yeah, it won't hurt to sit him. I don't think
it's not crazy to sit him.
If he scores 80, it'll be a little bit annoying, but you're probably backing the guys that you've played ahead of him to think that they could go close enough to that anyway. So, yeah.
All right, are you ready?
What's the go?
Captain, tipping point.
Oh, yeah, so I'm in control of who we're picking, aren't we?
So I've given Timmy the reins this week. Timmy has come back. What's the score? 15-12.
15-12. Clean sweep last week. We had... To be fair, I think you got really excited with DCE and Turbo. You just went straight to massive scores. So which allowed, I think you gave me a bit of a free win there. But
I gave you a bonus point as well, which we didn't even talk about on the podcast last week. I just got pressured into...
Had's addressed... No, when Hads was here a couple of weeks ago and we were changing the dynamic, what I do want to say about the tipping point, in the chat, you're like, oh, Timmy, you can't be bloody bragging now because we've set it up so you could come back and all this. When we started the tipping point, there was no... I don't even know that we were scoring it, but there was no consequence. There was no punishment at the end. It was only that once you got a massive way ahead, and you're like, let's put a consequence on this now that you can't come back. So,
that's
but
fair.
Then that's when we've tweaked it. So yep. And do you know what I was thinking back then?
And to be fair, I've won most weeks since then still.
Yeah.
But this week I want to be crazy. This week I just went straight up to 150 for Tommy. You know what? Did you think about it at all on Saturday? Tipping point.
Not Saturday, no. But
Like
back
when
into the
Tommy
weekend.
was having a field day,
Didn't think about it,
126 with 20 minutes to go. He was looking like 150.
Yeah, I was more worried about not having him in my SuperCoach side than
that's fair.
for tipping point at that point, to be fair. But and one other point about the tipping point too is back then, I mean, when we were doing it early, I'm not trying to make an excuse for being a loser, but but I was kind of just trying to push it to the maximum point where I think that that's the point that they will either be just under or just over, and I wasn't really doing it from a strategical point of what's going to give me the best chance of them statistically.
Yep, you're right.
You know, so now I'm sort of reshaping that to try and get the wins. But let's go.
But I think we agreed on the weekend that I'm actually going to be doing the cheeseburger challenge as
at
a
Macca's
punishment.
24-hour thing. Yeah,
The 24-hour cheeseburger challenge. Can I tweak that?
sure.
Can I tweak it to hamburgers? Because I don't want to consume that much cheese.
Yeah, the junior burger.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's the same thing, just no cheese.
Classic. Yeah. Okay.
And I can make it 25 burgers.
And I'm going to do the Kafusi for 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll be wearing.
Oh, yeah. So you're doing the Kafusi.
I'll be wearing my hat to work probably, but I'll for the podcast, which will be post season, but for we'll still be going. I won't wear a hat, obviously, and it'll be out there. So.
Are you going to go completely skin?
I'll do the full caboose.
With the caboose?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lose, so we'll see you at Macca's. But, okay, so I want to put the ball in your court a little bit this week to make... So would you like to do the 4 main captain options, or would you like to mix it up with the 2 main guys, Teddy, Turbo, and add Manu and Angus as purchases in there? So we can either go...
Maybe the 4 main captain options, because that means tipping points done in one game, pretty much, or by the Friday night, which Friday night is very relevant.
The other thing is, though, I thought, but even if we added Manu and Angus, that has 3 of them done in one game when you add Teddy into it as well, which is kind of awkward, just chucking them all into the one game.
That's what I mean,
So they're both going to be done pretty early. But if we did go with the all captains, Ponga's in the scenario, and that does hang to the final game. Do you want to go? Let's go the big captain options.
Do that one.
Okay, sweet.
Who's the third big captain? Nathan.
So So whether we're going to ignore him, I think they're the 4 standouts. That's what I'm going to be flagging in my captaincy video this week.
Oh, okay, yep.
So,
all right.
Yeah. All right.
Kick it off.
I've got some preparations
we can go game by game. So we'll go Nathan first.
Okay, let's... Nathan averages 60.9 against them, so let's set the line at 60.
I'll go over 60 and I'll go 65.
I'll go over 65 and go to 70.
I'll go over 70. And I'll go 75.
I'll go over 75 and go to 76. Over.
I'll go under.
All right, sweet.
Hold on. Just let me write that down.
I'm nervous about this one. It's a toughie.
Do you want to know what I do?
What's yours?
So...
I think you've got a thing too. You shoot to the highest you want to put me sometimes, and then I'm tempted to go the overs always, so I'll take you one more, and then you'll take the under.
No.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's kind of how I do it, but I don't want you to know that I'm nervous for the score I'm saying. So, when someone kind of says... I'll go over 70, I'll go 75. Yeah. When you go to the next 5, there's no flag of like nervousness there.
Yeah, when you start going to 76.
When you start going to 76, 77, like...
Well, I wanted to be on the over, but the littlest, I didn't want to go any further. So I wanted to be either side of 71.5. I did a lot of homework on these. So I'm really trying to get in the Maccas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tommy
Turbo, he averages... 93.4 against the Wars, so I think we'll set the line at 90.
I'll go over 90, go 95.
I'll go over 95 and go to 100.
I'll go over 100 and 115.
I'll go. They're welcoming back a few stars, the Wales, this week, don't they? They got Metcalf and a few other people coming back.
Yeah, good on them.
Back at home. Yeah, that's fine.
Good on them.
I'm going to go to over 119.
Ooh. Ooh. I'm going to go over 125.
I want to be on either side of 119, so I'll take under 125.
Nice.
Although I will say, Tommy Turbo is my pick of the round. I think he's the best pick.
For sure.
Oh, although I think you'll go on Turbo this week. I think you'll go on Teddy this weekend from things I've picked up. Am I wrong?
Yes.
I'm
going Turbo for sure.
Okay, cool.
Turbo versus the Wires at 4 Points Park, 6 p.m.
Oh, I thought it was at Wars.
Sorry?
Is it at Wars?
Sorry?
I thought it was at the Wars.
Not at 4 Points.
Okay, I've been factoring that in. Okay, that's even better for Turbo.
Exactly.
Yeah, but not good for me.
I'm captaining Turbo.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Okay, and next one.
Teddy.
Let me just bring my notes up. Teddy, I just got shaken by that. That news was really. Okay. Teddy. Yeah. Okay. So Teddy averages 79 against the Eels. So let's set the line at 79.
I'll go 80.
Just to 80 and going
higher
over.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go higher than 80, and I'll go 85.
I'll go higher than 85. I'll go 94.
94. I'll go over 94 and go a ton.
I'll go under.
Under? Feel good about that one. I'm either side of 117.5.
Fuck!
Yeah, that's how much you had in me there, yeah.
Oh, no.
So,
that could be a bad miss.
100, sort of my under, I'm over 110.
No, you're over.
100, over 100.
Yeah, 110.
No, what was it? Fucking no, go back to the things. What was it?
Oh, for Tommy?
No, what was mine for Teddy? What did I say? What's the line? 100?
100.
100? That's mad. Yeah. I got thrown by my 117. Sorry. Yep. Sweet.
All right, Pong Dog.
The Pong Dog. Okay. Versus the Sharks, he averages 68. So let's set the line at 68.
I'll go over 68. I'll go 75.
I'll go over 75 and I'll go to 80.
Riveting podcasting here. Are you okay for me to be... Ooh.
Looking at his last score.
Yeah.
He had a good one last time.
I'm going to go under 80.
You're going to go under 80? Nice. I was either side of 89, so that's I'll take that.
I wouldn't have been able to push it much further, eh?
No.
Far out. So he averages 61 against them, but he's got a score of 1 and 9 against them, which has really dragged it down. 163 is his highest score against them, and then he scored 128 in his last outing against them.
That was back into last year though, wasn't it?
Newcastle were hot. Sharks were the wheels were starting to fall off, and it was at McDonald's Jones. It's at PointsBet this week, so I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
All right, captains this week. Obviously, I've already alluded to, I'm going Tommy. The Wars are 17th in defence against fullbacks, and I guess we did establish that was quite early on where they banked a lot of them stats from, but I'm still pretty comfortable with it, with Tommy. I've just looked at this matchup, and I just think, the Wars got 66 put on them against
Titans.
The Titans. Counter Keeney went massive that week. That wasn't that long ago. Actually, it was around 10, I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think it was that long ago.
I think it was, because remember they came out the week after in Magic Round and beat Penrith?
Yeah, it might have been. Well, I'm going to be captaining Teddy. Yeah, I just think he's a standout for my side. If I was a Turbo Teddy owner, It's a tough one, but I really think I'd be leaning Turbo.
You'd be going Turbo?
Yeah, I just think he just looked like absolutely lethal and ruthless. And I just think the Wars are a bit more. I don't know. Maybe the Eels are looking a little bit better than what the Wars are, but they're both kind of sort of trying to play for something a bit, even when having not much to play for.
Yeah, I agree. Just back to that, round 16 was when the 66-0 game was, so actually quite more recently. I think like VC doesn't matter for me this week at all. I'm not looping unless
it's major.
Unless it's 200.
There is the factor of like you could just chuck it on. Like for me, VC, it's Nath or Garrick just because they're earlier than my captains. But I mean, a part of me might just end up going back to Nathan just for insurance in case Penrith just really, really try in case they try send an absolute message to the competition this week and just because both sides have been leaking points, but I feel like Melbourne have been a bit more off their game in the last couple of weeks, whereas Penrith have kind of been putting it together and working out by the end of the game, where Storm have kind of been in and out throughout patches, whereas I think if Penrith just absolutely put it together, maybe, Grant in the chat was pretty big on thinking that Cleary could still have a big one, and I was sort of a bit like putting a bit more faith in the Storm, but it might be a safer play just doing him rather. I've been trying to be a bit cute by going Garrick against an easier matchup in the Wars, but maybe
I don't hate it. I know Melbourne's defence has been pretty shit, but they've had pretty under par last 2 weeks. They're probably preparing for this Thursday game.
Manly could maybe pump the Wars, and Garrick gets one of those games where he just gets those cheeky line breaks. You don't even see him do that much, and then and then 90 scores without him actually scoring tries. Sometimes when he's just getting those line breaks when he's had that, and then if you add a couple of try assists, he could end up being a 150 game where you just don't expect it.
Sure.
So maybe, but then I'm kind of a little bit scared of the.
I'm VCing Cleary, obviously,
just because he's the only option you got.
I'm VCing Garrick, but I know if I was in your position, like, I don't know,
It just feels like maybe just trying to have a little bit of a play in a round where there's not much to sort of have a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, all right. Well, cheers for tuning in this week. Good episode. Hopefully we can find some more green arrows this week and win some head-to-head finals, eh?
Yeah.
I've got one league that I'm looking at this week, and hopefully I win that. And then I'll be pretty confident going into next week if I go through unscathed. But